What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of NFT 365. And I was gonna, I think there's a beautiful connection that we have when we can share in this journey together, when we can, recognize that we're not alone. And I don't know if any of you have been in that place where you're kind of putting yourself out there, or maybe you're exploring something new, or maybe it's just that you've never shared like this side of you. And I think in Web3, that's that's probably more prevalent than any other time, because there's so many ways that we can monetize, that we can express ourselves. And the thing that we have to just own is, like, it can be scary putting yourself out there, right? And so if you're trying something new, if you're launching a project, if you're buying a project, if you're creating new content, maybe launching a new podcast, maybe starting to do Instagram Reels more, or maybe just exploring, Twitter even more and figuring out ways to kind of grow there on Twitter. It can feel very, let's face it, it can feel very scary. It can feel very, you can be worried about how you're going to be judged. What are people going to think? How are people going to accept you? What are people going to think about this side of you that maybe they weren't aware of? And that's a big burden to carry. And I think oftentimes people assume, for what my job is as a full-time keynote speaker, and then with the podcasts that I've had over the time, and how I do a lot of live video, that isn't the case for me. But I'm here to tell you, I'm doing something this Friday, for those that are listening live or listening on the day of, that I've never done before. I'm sharing a side of me that I've only tweeted out a little bit about. And I'm a little nervous. I might even want to say I'm a little, well, we're going to get into it, exactly what I am. And I'll just say that for those that are listening, you're not alone, but you might be a little bit surprised on where this goes. With that being said, I'm very aware that, like, my style, the way that I like to kind of show up is unique, but I think that's kind of something that's welcomed in the, kind of in that clothing fashion style. I mean, right now I'm wearing a hot pink NFT 365 shirt as we're recording. And so that was a little bit unique for me, right? Putting out the merch, but it wasn't fully like kind of exposing a side of me, or talking about something or doing something that I had never done before. And that's what is going to change. Like, that's why I wanted to kind of talk about that on this episode, because, we're excited to be teamed up with Nifty Gateway. And I was lucky enough to be one of the 50 curators over there on Nifty Gateway, where it's a highly curated NFT platform, and mostly, art, music. There are some NFT PFP projects, but it's just a really, amazing, ecosystem over there. And we're actually talking to some of a couple of our listeners that we reached out to, about, curating their NFT projects and drops, in kind of inside of the storefront that we have. But for me, one of the things that I've been excited about was, how does Web3 allow us to, as creators, not only expand how we monetize, but also reinvent how we tell our stories, how we, build a creator economy, right? How we, really empower each other, connect in new ways. And I'll just say, like, for me, I'm very blessed, right? I learned early on in my journey through life that, one of my, value secrets is that I'm not afraid to be myself. I'm not afraid to be unique. I never really have. My mom would say that was really what, like, my strong suit of getting through high school. And, yeah, I was bullied or made fun of. Yeah, I had to deal with, things that, most teenagers have to deal with, but it never like silenced me or squashed me or pushed me from being myself. And I mean, anyone that's seen me speak, anyone that's met me in person will kind of know I kind of walk to my own beat. I'm not afraid to say that I don't do things conventional ways, but I also, it's not like I'm doing that for attention. I just really am comfortable, in my own skin. But that doesn't mean I'm comfortable doing everything in all ways. And I will tell you, as we are looking at this Nifty Gateway drop, and, as we're closing out this collection, one of the things that has been powerful for me as I look back on these 365 days is that there's certain trends and certain emotional feelings that I get when I think about certain, NFTs that we bought, right? Or even or even podcast episodes that I've recorded, because it's been a journey, right? It's been a pretty wild journey, and I know many of you hold NFTs that are a part of our collection. Many of you hold the Mint 365 NFTs. But one of the things I was looking to do is like, how can I expand how we can get people, to feel like they've been a part of this journey, but also to express it in ways that are native to NFTs and Web3. And you might have heard in the previous episode, and if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know I bring this up a lot. But I've been, like, my sweet spot for my career, what I do in business is helping, audiences find that harmony between technology and humanity. And for me, that harmony is done through storytelling, through either I'm doing it on a microphone here on podcast, I'm doing it on a microphone on live video, or I'm doing it with a microphone on stages around the world as I speak. But one of the things that I feel like I study a lot, right, is not only the human behavior, but that art of storytelling, right, and that the beauty of what storytelling represents. And I guess that piece of it is something I've talked about, I've written about, I've gone to events about, around like that art of storytelling. But I'm one that has always kind of considered myself artistically challenged, right? I can't draw worth a damn. Painting and crafting, I do it with my daughters and they laugh, and like my 9-year-old likes to make sure to remind me that she's better at painting our birdhouses than I am, and she's true. She's not lying. She is better at it than me. But for me, the idea of artistic, of storytelling and artistic expression, I always tell people that, like, as a great speaker, like, for me, the slides never take away from what I'm presenting. They tell part of the story, right? And I think even how I direct, where I walk on stage, the words I use, when I pause, even the narrative and sometimes shock and awe components of telling a great story are things that I use and leverage. And it's something that I'm very proud of. But as far as like kind of a artistic expression in a visual format, I take a lot of photos. I've always loved photography, especially 360 camera and iPhone. I really enjoy being able to capture moments there, especially as a dad, a girl dad. I've captured so many amazing moments with my daughters. I have the Snapchat spectacles where I can capture those moments, but I never consider myself like a photog or a photographer, right? I think there are so many photographers that I look up to and that I believe are amazing at what they do. And I think that idea of like, how do you capture that essence in such a powerful way, as if we're there, but it also tells a much deeper story. And so I love taking photos. I share a lot of my photos out on Instagram, and and actually I've actually have some photos printed out that I've taken of sunsets and sunrises around the world, as I've been to 76 countries. But for me, there was always like that idea, like, man, I wish I could tell stories and help people have like a visual memory and a visual attachment to a lot of the stories that I tell, or stories that we deliver, or education that we create. And I found this whole artificial intelligence art. And I will just tell you, it's been a rabbit hole and a new like passion of mine that I didn't see coming. And I was up till about 2 a.m. last night experimenting with different prompts and different engine generators. And I love the idea of that I can use AI to articulate, a story and certain prompts and composition and elements that I want to express. And then it ultimately generates, based on what I input, something that, that's the visual representation of that, right? It can be in different, sizes, it can be different colors, it can be in everything that you can imagine. But the piece of it that's really been powerful for me is that capturing of emotion in a way that emotion is ultimately like stamped. I don't even know how a better way to say this. I'm not usually one that's lost for words. Like people will always shit, like I believe that, my passion comes through on the microphone, my heart, my love for what I'm doing, all of that kind of comes through. But those are often conveyed in like kind of a real time. You have to be there, or you have to be listening, or you have to be watching. And there's something about this AI art where I'm able to, in some cases, spend many, many, many hours, more hours than I probably would like to even admit, crafting and tweaking and generating and adding different variations and changing different engines and different settings. But what I'm able to do is I'm able to capture this like emotion that connects to the story that I believe represents different things that I'm thinking about or I'm visualizing. And so I've been working on this for quite some while now, and the Nifty Gateway idea was definitely like one of the ones that was like, okay, now I have a vehicle. And so I will just tell you, like, this Friday we're going to drop the first two of our our 30-day kind of tranches over. We're doing we'll be dropping 11 of them, but the first two will drop this Friday on Nifty Gateway. And what they are is that it is representation. I took one word from the first 30 NFTs that we bought, one word from each one that like I thought like represented that or what I felt about it. And then I put that into the AI engine, and then I modified it and kind of tweaked it to try to represent the emotion and the story that I was feeling, or what those NFTs make me feel, or even what that this whole journey has been about. And then I've been manipulating that image, and what I've been able to do is I've been able to create one for each 30 kind of 30-day package. So like from November 11th to December 11th, I created one AI piece of art that we are going to drop on Nifty Gateway. And there will be only 11 of that component available. And we're also going to drop the second 30 days, right? So from day 30 to day 60, and what that meant, right? So it's November 11th to December 11th, to December 11th to January 11th. And then what we're going to do is each Friday moving forward until the end of season 1, we're going to add additional collections there over there on Nifty Gateway. And we're going to have some details and things out there. We'll put some links out there. I'm sure I'll do an episode a little bit more on like what we're learning around the curation process. But I'm just going to tell you that we had to submit the write-up, and I finalized the first 3 of those images. And I'll say, like, for me, like, I really wanted to capture the essence of the time, but I also wanted to connect back and make sense to the NFTs that are there. And I've really been wrapping my head around how I want this all to kind of show up. And I'll just say, like, these first 2, actually the first 3 images that I'm now I've completed to represent each of these 30-day packages are pretty awesome. I'm pretty proud of what I've been able to create, and I believe it tells a story and a connection to what that time meant in this whole NFT space and in this NFT 365. And so we're going to be dropping them as NFTs, and anyone that actually owns all 11 of the of the NFTs, we're going to have something special in store. Or if you just own one of any of the first 11, you'll get airdropped the 12th one, because of course the 12th one will run all the way up until the November 11th, when our end of our season 1, and we sell our Mosaic collection. But that's just kind of like the context of it. What I will just tell you is that I got this feeling in my stomach, right now, like right now at this moment, that I'm a little scared, a little nervous. Like this is like a side of me, and even I haven't even showed many people on the team, and most people know me. I'm pretty good at leaking alpha, and I love like being transparent and putting stuff out there for everybody. But it's just I really love what I've been able to create. I believe it stands alone in pretty amazing fashion. But I will also say, like, AI art as a whole, right, has its own, like, there's like a cult following that love AI art. There are people that are getting to know AI art, and then there are some people that just hate on AI art. They don't believe it is actually art or should be sold as NFTs. They don't, whatever that may be. But there's also just this idea of like my respect and love for those that I think of as artistic and those that I think of as creatives, right? We're having many of the guests here on the podcast, even just upcoming, right? We have Sabit and Gabe and like I have like such a appreciation for those that are sharing their talent, right? It's why we're buying an NFT every day, and we have so many one of one artists in our collection. It's why I love the art that is within different PFP collections, and I have such a deep respect for that I don't want to like step on toes, and I don't really want to like insult those that have launched collections prior, or those that are playing in this space. And I'm not an AI art expert by any stretch of the imagination. I've spent probably 60 hours watching videos and learning the different aspects of it. I feel like I have my own kind of like artistic version of how I like the AI art to be generated. I, of course, like my neon colors, and there's certain forms of expression and things that I draw from. But I will tell you, I've been even nervous to send over the art to our team to where we can upload it over on Nifty and get it set up for the drop on Friday, because I'm not nervous about like will it sell out or not. I'm just more nervous on like how will it be received, and like what will people think of me, or like this form of media. And so I share that because people make like an assumption that everything I do comes very natural to me. And I will say, I am as being someone that is neurodiverse, I have learned that there are certain things that I do really freaking well and that do come natural to me that don't come natural to everyone, right? I believe I am really great at being what I do on stage. Like I know that I am a world-class speaker because I'm able to tap into the pieces of my brain that allow me to roll with the punches, allow me to be multitasking while I'm on stage, allow me to tell stories in ways that I believe connect with my audiences. And I'm very confident in my ability to do so. I also believe I have a unique style here at podcasting, and even how I use social media and that component, and even creating educational content. But for me, when I explore or have to put myself out in ways that I never have before, I'm just like everyone else. And I say that because we often hold people at like a certain bar, and then we either believe that they're better, or they don't experience what we experience, or they don't have imposter syndrome, or they don't go through questioning themselves, or they don't I'm bad. Like I will tell you, like I will often spend a whole bunch of time modifying, tweaking something, getting something to where I think it's good. And then if I just get to a point where I don't like it, I just hit delete. Like I do that a lot. And I know it's not, always healthy. And I have friends that are like, man, you just wasted all that time. But like, I believe perfection is a fairy tale. And I preach that control is an illusion. And I don't believe my AI art that we are going to drop on Friday is perfect. And I guess I just have to own the fact that I can't control how people feel, how people receive it. If some people want to buy it, if some people want to talk about it or promote it or share what we're creating. And damn, that's unnerving. It's just a little bit, I'm excited. I'm like really excited, but I'm also like at this like space where I'm like, is it going to make sense for those that see it? And even those that like don't listen to this episode, right? I'm very blessed that we have a lot of amazing fans of the podcast, amazing fans, that have followed me for a long while. And I'm very blessed, but I will say I cheated a little bit because I included actually one of them in the background of the slides that I used at Disney World last week, and when I spoke there at Disney for their big event. And I got feedback from the head of AV, their master of production. And his comment was, Brian, he's like, he goes, we made comments as a team that these were some of the best design slides that we've ever seen. And then we found out that every one of those slides you created with AI, like we were blown away. And he went through and then he goes, man, my favorite one is that one, it's like a magical galaxy, and it shows like the sun rising and this like emerging like bright future, but also like this, the future that is unknown yet. There's darkness in components and there's bright light. And he was like, man, he goes, that really spoke to me. Well, I didn't say anything at the time. I just said, I really appreciate that. That meant a lot to me. But that one he was describing is actually the first drop in the collection. And man, I was thinking about it on the airplane home, and I got to this point of like, holy hell, did that feel good? Like it just felt great. And he was a fan of the slide and the art that I had created, without even knowing that I created it. Right. And then once he realized that I created it, he gave me that feedback. And I think that's actually going to help me a lot because, I'm not looking for, man, I guess this is a weird episode for me. Sorry. This is me just trying to express that, like, I'm not looking for like validation or like for people to be like, man, Brian all of a sudden is like a world renowned artist, or Brian is like this AI art expert. Like, I'm not looking for that, but I do hope, and time will tell, that what I visioned and what we created and what we're launching connects in a way for those that want to get it or want to be a part of this journey, or collect these memories, or even just take the art and leverage it and print it out at their house. Right. And we're going to make sure that the IP rights and whatever, however anyone wants to use the art, they can use it. And I will say, like, I use the AI generator, and then I modify it myself on the iPad, tweaking some of like the lighting, and I'm using Procreate to adjust a couple of things, and maybe even add a couple Easter eggs in there that some of you might be able to find when you own one. But I guess this episode is for all those that are in that same space, and it could be anything in your life. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe you're having your first child. Maybe you're moving to a new town. Maybe you're starting a new job. I just want you to know, like, we are all human. We all go through this idea of like, we have goals, we have aspirations, we have, we have beliefs in ourselves, but we also recognize that a lot of times the world doesn't work that way for us. And I guess for me, a part of this episode was just to express that you are not alone. It's okay to feel these feelings, but it's also important to put this stuff out to the world, because like, I don't know if people will love my AI art creations unless I put it out there for everyone to see and for everyone to consume and maybe purchase. And funny enough, I was talking to a very artistically talented friend of mine, and he was like, Brian, I never thought anybody would give a crap about my art until a friend of mine put it into an expo without me even knowing. And it was at like this art expo in Arizona that his art was put into. And they sold out immediately, the 3 pieces that were put into the expo. And he was like, it was that day, thanks to someone else putting it out there, that I became an artist. And I'll say he's made millions of dollars as an artist, and is amazingly talented human and a friend of mine. And he doesn't even know that I'm doing this, because I wasn't sure what he would think or feel about AI art. But I say that because, like, if it wasn't for this podcast, if it wasn't for Nifty Gateway, reaching out, and if it wasn't for me buying an NFT every day, finding an NFT that was done with AI art and kind of falling in love with it and realizing, wow, there's just so much that can be done in this space. And we're going to have Kin, one of the artists behind AI Apes, which is one of my favorite NFTs that are out there. And yeah, I'm just excited. And, and I definitely want to give a shout out to the artists that we've had on there, Eric and Kim, who are the light artists. Man, I just obsessed with their art and their talent and what they create. And, we've had so many just amazing, talented people. And I just think, like, how I just have this like vision, this belief that, like, how cool will it be if, like, one day I'm able to look back and realize that like this AI art that I created to capture a moment in time, that was, the launch of NFTs and the emergence of blockchain and Web3 and the creator economy, that I can look back and people can say, hey, I own that piece that captured that moment, and I have it hanging in my house, or I have it as my desktop on my computer, or I printed it out for my home office. The possibility of that outweighs the worry that I have or the concern I have of how it's going to be received. And so I'm going to press the damn button. I'm going to put that out there to the world. And I'm also going to eventually have to put that book out, because that's the other thing that I've been holding back on. But for all those that are out there that are feeling that similar feeling, just know you're not alone, but also know that we need it. We need more people telling their story. We need more people putting their gifts out there to the world. We don't have enough amazing, entertainment and art and expressions that are out there. And so I challenge everyone to take this as your marching orders. I hope you'll check out the collection. I know that, not everyone will be able to afford the pieces, or maybe not have the liquidity at the time. That's perfectly fine. I don't want to ever put that onus on anyone. But I will just say that I'm excited, and I'm excited that I get to share this with all of you. And I hope it inspires at least one other person to put themselves out there in a way that they might not be comfortable with, or might be new to them, because I'm excited, truly excited about what's possible. Of course, we did mention at the start of the show, we are sponsored by the Crypto Business Conference. And maybe we're going to be doing a drop while we're there at the Crypto Business Conference, which is another thing that is exciting. So that'll be one of the Fridays. But for those that want to level up on all things NFTs and Web3, and even talk with artists and creators and developers and businesses and brands that are exploring this whole space, definitely check it out at socialmediaexaminer.com/NFT365. And I will leave you with this, my friends. The unknown can be scary. Change can be overwhelming. But we also have to recognize that so many great things are only possible if we're willing to try out new things, to explore new possibilities. And, for me, this podcast has been a life lesson in that, at 40 years old, when I launched the podcast, I'm now 41. I believe consistency wasn't something that I could do, wasn't something in my wheelhouse, wasn't something, a strength of mine. And I'm freaking proving that damn wrong. And I just wonder what other things I've told myself, like being artistically challenged, or that my brain doesn't work that way, or I'm not, that person, or I might not be able to do this thing. I wonder how many of all those other things I can debunk between now and, my last day on the earth. And I think that is pretty awesome. And I hope it is inspiring and motivating for all of you. And I challenge everyone, push yourself, look in the mirror and believe in yourself, and ultimately press the damn button, because you don't know what will work or how people will receive something or what's possible unless you're willing to try it. As always, until tomorrow, my friends, make it a great day. Cheers.